What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. I can't believe I'm saying this right now, but it is 11:44 p.m. Wednesday, April 20th. You're probably wondering why I'm out here in the middle of the night starting this video. If you guys haven't seen the previous videos, I've mentioned that we're going to be headed to Race Wars. We are boothed up with S1 Built. The event is on April 23rd, 24th, Sonoma, California. Yes, that is literally like 3 days away, and I have a lot to do. If you guys haven't seen the previous video of the update on the giveaway CRX, we got a lot done, but we still have a ton more things to do. So on this list here, we have pretty much everything underneath the hood done. Everything with the fuel cell is done. This is miscellaneous interior pieces I'm not worried about, but all of the all-wheel drive components here needs to be installed, and that's what we're doing tonight, or at least most of it tonight, and then spend a little bit of time tomorrow to button it up. I usually don't make noise this late, but I am making the exceptions to use my hand tools instead of my power tools, and tonight I'm going to probably spend about an hour or two here in the garage to do as much as I can on the things that doesn't require cutting, grinding, or welding. So before I show you guys all of the all-wheel drive components, I want to give a big shout out to S1 Built, based out of Florida. Son and Mylin and the whole S1 crew, thank you guys for coming on board with the giveaway CRX. S1 hooked us up with a complete all-wheel drive kit, and actually this has been sitting for about a year now when we first initially announced that this car was going to be a giveaway vehicle. So this has been sitting in boxes in the back of the garage for a very long time, and today, this video, we're finally going to put everything onto the car. So if you guys are interested in any all-wheel drive parts, S1 link is always in the description below. Check out some of their awesome products. They have everything from a budget all-wheel drive kit to one of the higher model all-wheel drive kits. So let me explain. The budget kit that they offer uses the stock trailing arm that comes off your car from factory with the modified all-wheel drive hubs in it. And then they have like the race spec, which is a shorter version. They have this one right here, which is the Alpha 6. This is full stainless steel. I am running 4-lug, but if you guys are 5-lug, they have that option as well. I am also running the Delta 7 rear diff mount instead of the tubular one, because the tubular one does require a little bit more welding, although it looks freaking sick. But this just makes it much simpler to install. There are still some cutting and welding you have to do. This is the top piece that holds the differential to the car. So the crossbar right here goes from one end to the other, and then this plate right here bolts up to the differential, which then needs to be mounted to the bar after you figure out where it sits. And then right here we have the end pieces that goes at the end of the bar, so we can have more welding surface. This bracket right here makes sure that this bar does not bend upward if you're making a ton of power. So this is kind of almost optional because I don't have it in my car and I haven't had an issue, but because we have it, we're definitely going to use it. Now for the rear shocks, we're going to be running the block Super Street coilovers. I've had this for a while. I finally pulled them out of the storage, gave it a good old cleaning. The front's already on the car. The rear can't go on just yet until I get the billet adapter, which then removes this body, and then we adapt it to the billet fork, which then offsets the angle so it can clear the axle, which typically goes through right here. Over here we have the CRV differential from the RD1. You can get it from the 0406 as well too, the 2nd gen or the Element. I do have the CRV axle. This is the passenger side, the shorter axle of the two. You need 2 of them because the diff is going to be centered. We have CRX rear calipers, which you can also use Integra. They will bolt up to the trailing arm. I have the CRX e-brake cables right here. I'm very sad that I took this apart for my complete trailing arm, but I needed it now because I can't wait for parts to show up because we are on a time crunch. We do have stainless steel rear brake lines as well. The fronts are obviously on the car already. Brand new rear brake pads, Trueheart tow kit, Trueheart camber kit, Trueheart LCA. So what I'm trying to do tonight is install all of the parts that doesn't require the grinding, the cutting, and the welding. So the simplest thing is the trailing arm. So I'm going to try my best to get some lighting down here because obviously it's super dark out right now. Let's get to it. So I'm going to assemble the trailing arm right now, which I feel like I should do after when it's on the car because I don't have my rotor just yet. It comes in tomorrow. I got to pick it up in the morning, and all of the caliper and stuff is going to come back off anyways because the rotor goes on first beforehand. So I do want to mount it on just so I could like figure out what I need to do as far as the e-brake cable bracket goes, because I know on my all-wheel drive CRX I had to cut this, shorten it, bend it out of the way because it hits right here. And I know S1 sells their own kit. Now technically I don't need this because I'm not racing the car, as long as the brakes work. CRX calipers, it is threaded on the bracket here, and the Alpha 6 trailing arm has the 2 holes for it right there, the provisions. What I do notice is that the holes for the caliper bracket is pretty tight in there, so I don't know if you gotta like ream it out a little bit or deburr it. I'm just gonna ream it a little bit. So right here, these are the tabs for the e-brake cable bracket, and if you look, we have this giant gap, and this is already hitting the trailing arm. So that's granted because I did it on my other car. I'm gonna have to put spacers, which I actually have the tube here left over from when I first did it, so something like that. Now my only issue that I'm seeing now is the e-brake cable may not go right into the bracket. Okay. So the solution for this I'm seeing here is cut this bracket, and then I'm gonna have to angle it like this to point this hole around this mount, just so that the cable can go into the hole and into the e-brake lever here. Tomorrow's task, because I don't want to cut or weld right now, so I'm just going to go ahead and just take that off. So because we can't modify the bracket right now to do the e-brake cable, and we don't have the rotor to assemble the entire brake system, we're going to move on to the camber arm and the toe arm. I want to give a big shout out to NorCal Auto Styles for having the Trueheart product in stock for all the stuff I'm going to be using in today's video. I am using the Trueheart rear upper camber kit, which is the same for EG, DC, EKs, as well as the EF and the DA guys. Part number is right there. I have the same kit in my KRX, and I don't have any issues with that. I also have the LCAs in my all-wheel drive car, and I have no issue with that as well. So what I'm going to do with these right now, I am going to take the camber kit and pre-adjust it to the stock arm, just so we can have somewhat the same camber as factory. So simple enough, you just loosen up these lock nuts, and then you just turn the body until you line it up with the factory unit here. So the correct way to do this is to bolt it up obviously in the car, and then you turn the body and not the joints, because if you turn the joint and not the body, it's going to make one side of the camber arm or toe arm more out than the other. So I'm gonna go ahead and just turn this until we get it to the factory length. Check it as we go. Give or take about right there. I'm gonna go ahead and just lock the nut so it doesn't spin out of spec. This doesn't have to be spot on because the car's gonna go to an alignment shop anyways, and they're gonna take care of all of this over there. But I want to ensure that at least it's not tippy-toeing, and it'll be less work for them. For Nilo is my guy. Does a great job on all of my cars. I gotta go underneath the car real quick to grab the toe arm that's still connected to the chassis, so I can adjust the Truehearts to that. Got the factory toe arm right here. Looks funny. So for the toe kit, I am also using Trueheart. Part number is right there. The box does say Honda Civic EGEK, but if you take this part number and you go on the website, it also lists for the DC2, the EF, the DAs. They're all the same, especially because they're adjustable. So I am going to be running Truehearts on the toe. On my red all-wheel drive car, I am running Wicked Tuning, which is a company I've used for many years, although they are kind of hard to get nowadays, but these will work. Don't get me wrong though, the stock toe kit will work as well, but if you're already changing everything new, you might as well change this out too, right? One down, one to go. So I am going to install the tow arm and the camber arm beforehand, so that way when I tuck this up inside the wheel well, it'll just be a couple of bolts and it can hang on its own. So instead of rambling around, get it done beforehand, right? I have this loose so I can adjust it when it's underneath the car, and then once it is in place, tight it all the way down. So before we can put the trailing arm on, we need to put the LCA on first. This is the part number for the Trueheart control arm I am running, and these are pretty much the same for all the chassis other than the EK. The EK is specific to its own, but the EG, DC, DA, and EF are all identical. So this one is polished, which I don't mind because the Delta 7 rear diff mount has a stainless steel like mirror plate on it, so it's going to complement this really nicely. I did get the rubber set because this is the only one that NorCal had in stock. My all-wheel drive CRX has a spherical version, which is great. It's not too harsh on the road, but sometimes we got to roll with the punches and get what we can get. So I feel like this bolt's going to come back out because the Delta 7 rear diff uses the same bolt to mount. Buddy. All right, guys, so I have the passenger side trailing arm installed, and I am going to do the driver side off camera. So Garfield is under here somewhere meowing at me. 1 o'clock in the morning. Buddy, I don't know why you're over here this late. It's here somewhere, I hope. So trailing arm is in place. We have the toe fully secured right there. We have the trailing arm bushing secured right there. The camber arm is secured as well. These are very crucial because they tend to strip on old vehicles that may have seen rust or whatever. So when you take these off, heat them up, torch them up, something, break them loose slowly and then remove them fully. I'm fortunate my threads are clean. They came in and out really easily. LCA is on. LCA is on as well here, but it is loose because I'm gonna have to take this off and that to pull the trailing arm to put the axles in. Not a big deal. I just want this on the car so I can get it out of the garage and get rid of all those giant boxes that's been collecting for over a year. So what I'm going to do right now, since we're already right here, I'm going to do the stainless line to the stock hard line there. I'm also on live stream, just kind of behind the scene, late night chilling. Thank you everybody who tuned in. Stainless steel line from, what is this? What brand? I don't know what brand this is, but anyways, stainless steel lines, 9091 CRX SI, because only the 9091 CRX came rear disc brakes, and because we are using the calipers from the CRX, this line right here is going to work for that. They are not directional left or right, they are identical, so you can just grab one out of the bag along with the hardware. I love this camera, man, but it takes so long for it to focus, and when it does, it's amazing. But I feel like we kill a lot of time sitting here trying to focus. So this side is just screwing into the stock fitting and just a retaining clip, but I can't find my retaining clip, so I'll do that later when I find it. Pretty straightforward here. Make sure you start the threads into the stainless brake line straight, because you don't want to strip this. Give it a nice little snug, and then imagine putting a retaining clip in there, and that's going to be secured. Brake line is just going to hang out until we are ready to put the caliper on tomorrow. So with the combination of the live stream, we got both trailing arms installed without calipers, without rotors, but we do have the brake line installed beforehand, and driver's side is also done. So tomorrow we're going to pick back up with this, hopefully early in the morning. The goal is to pretty much pick up the rotors, button up all the brake system, cut the subframe, install the rear diff with the axles, with the diff plate and the top crossbar. And then hopefully the back half of the day, we're going to get started on this car. A lot to do, and yeah, it's time to clean up. I'll see you guys in a moment. Guys, what a blissful day. So I spent a couple of hours driving around town trying to find gas for my MIG welder, the C25 argon carbon mix, and I couldn't find anybody who had an owner's tank 125X in stock. I was saddened that I couldn't find my tank because I need the MIG gas for a lot of things going on today. And I was talking to the fellas that was working at the last shop I was at, and I was like, you know, how much would it cost me to upgrade to the next size tank, which is the 150? And they also didn't have that in stock, but they were kind enough to help me out. So they hooked me up with a 200 tank. 200, mind you guys, I had one that was about this tall, much slimmer than this one, and they didn't charge me the difference. They told me they're not going to charge me, just bring in the tank, exchange 1-to-1, and pay for the gas. That's what I did. We got an upgraded tank. I can't be happier. I finally got a bigger tank. I've been meaning to buy, just it was expensive to upgrade plus the gas, and they definitely blessed me today. So I'm very thankful for that. I did also go pick up my rotors, so I got my rotors here for the rear. And on top of that, USPS just showed up and they delivered my last package that we've been waiting from S1 Built. So these are my billet arms. It looks like I can install the shock today as well too. All that's going to be put off to last. Right now we're going to get down with the diff mount and get the differential and Delta 7 plate installed. Simply look at this craftsmanship. Beautiful back piece. This is the Delta 7, one of a couple kits that they offer. This one is stainless steel, all TIG welded. Check this thing out. Beautiful, beautiful. Got the dimple die plate, and this thing right here is what we're going to be installing right now. This holds the differential up. These pieces right here is what supports the top of the differential, so it doesn't like move up and down. I'm gonna go ahead and go underneath the car real quick, take a quick look at how everything goes on, and then we'll walk you guys through this. I've been laying down here trying to figure out how to go about this. This is the Delta 7 rear trailing arm mount, and the EF is a little bit different than like the other chassis, the EGs and the DCs. The EG and DC, they have this like extra mount that goes right here somewhere, and it bolts up to the existing holes that are on the frame. The CRX is different. We don't have that, so it looks like I'm gonna have to use the LCA bolts here. And the S1 kit provides a very long bolt which uses this hole, and you have to drill all the way through to the other side, bolt and washer. Now my kit didn't come with it, or I think I've lost it somewhere because it's been sitting around the garage for over a year, but I'm gonna have to improvise and get a long bolt to go through. But I'm not worried about this right now because we do have these mounting points on the bottom to get this plate up into place. So I mentioned last night that these bolts are going to have to come back out, which is not a big deal. So I'm going to go ahead and remove these two, mock this up to know where the diff mount lands, so I can cut this section out, which is a part of the process. Sorry for the super close-up, but I have this mark right here and right here. I'm going to cut this whole entire section out all the way to the top, goes all the way across. Now the S1 kit does come with the plates that you are supposed to weld back in to give it the structural integrity back. But I'm not really worried about welding this piece yet, because all of this stuff is going to come back out after the show, so I can button it up, do the locking plates and all that good jazz. I'll weld it in then. But I'm marking it low right now because I don't have those plates, and I don't want to cut too much where the plate ends up being shorter. So I'm cutting it short just to fit the diff for now, and then, like I said, we'll take care of it later. So let's whip out the grinder. All right, so we got the diff plate bolted up with the 2 LCA 14 mil, and these holes on the top needs to be drilled through, as I've mentioned, and we're gonna need like spacers or something back there, because that's a huge gap. Probably 3/4 of an inch gap. Not a big deal. Hopefully we have enough space for the differential. I think that's what I want to stick up here next. Yeah, let's do that. Let's grab the diff. So the other modification you have to do to clear the differential, aside from cutting this off, is to either hammer the tub in or cut the tub out. So if you look, it's hitting the top right there, and on my all-wheel drive CRX I had to cut this out to clear the differential. And if you look also back here, it's probably off about, I probably want to say 1/2 inch. So I have the differential bolted up right here. Got this bottom one tightened up so the differential is not slouching. Right now I am about to do the crossbar that goes from this frame rail across to the other side. This is the crossbar that goes across the left and the right side frame rail. This piece right here goes to the top of the differential where you bolt it right there. You have to align it first before you weld it all the way through. These 2 tabs are support tabs to keep the diff from going upward. So this goes on top of the bar, and then this gets bolted into the tub. These 2 plates are for the outer, which gets welded onto the frame rail, right? They do recommend to not use riv nuts, although there are holes here for that, or maybe that's just a welding point, I don't know. But I recommend it to be welded to the frame rail and not use riv nuts, because they do definitely tear out of the frame. So we're just gonna mock all of this up. I think the first thing I'm gonna do here is the bar with this to know where these land, so I can weld these beforehand, and then we'll get to the rest of the pieces here. Okay, so this is good. They give us a longer bar to trim to fit. So I'm gonna need a measuring tape for this. Measure 1,000 times and cut once, or 10 times. 31 inches almost exactly. 31. Oh, how much I hate working upside down, but we're making it happen, guys. So I had to trim this bar 3 times. I did make it a little bit longer just so, you know, I don't run short on material. So I already have that side tacked up on the bar, this plate right here. You can see it right there, and this one is loose. So right now I got the bar oh, the sun came out. Sun's out, baby. Let's go. So I got the bar in place, and this is all flushed up. So I'm gonna mark out where I need to grind this down to bare metal to weld this plate onto the chassis. But before we do that, we have to obviously mock everything up, make sure everything's all flush, and then I got to tack this in to the bar, this top plate, and I have to pull this off entirely to weld that entirely, and then come back in here and weld all of this to the frame after I weld that as well too. That was a huge struggle to weld because I couldn't nod my head up high enough to see where I was welding on the top of the bracket. But nonetheless, we got it welded. Let me show you guys real quick. Not the prettiest, but it will get the job done. And this side over here, all welded up as well. Right there. And obviously the crossbar is all welded up as well. So right now, I wanted to take the diff off and open it up and reseal it because it is leaking, but we're not running oil in here because we're not really driving the car. The last thing is to add the support brackets, which goes up straight into the tub on both sides. And yeah, let's get that. So we have these two legs right here that I don't necessarily need to weld right now because we're not racing the car to need this to support the diff bar, but pretty much it sits on top of the bar and it goes up right there somewhere, and then it gets bolted up to the tub. This prevents the bar from bowing up, right? And this needs to be trimmed to fit, unless I just want to make it easy and weld it right there, right? But yeah, I'm gonna figure this out, get these welded up. So I have the little support bars welded on both sides over there, and I don't have any bolts long enough to go all the way across for the top support here, so I'm going to leave that alone for now. But for the other chassis, you don't have to worry about it because you actually have this on top as well. For the EF, as far as I know, we don't have that spacer and we need to drill all the way through. Your kit should come with everything to do that. I might have misplaced mine or something, but I'm not worried about it right now because a lot of this stuff, like I mentioned, is coming back out. So I am totally missing something here. So whatever the hell this thing is, it is metal connected. I need to cut this off because it is in the way of the axle. I don't know if you guys can see that, but this needs to come off. So this package came in today, and this is literally the last piece I need to do the rear suspension. Shout out to Mylin and Son over at S1 Built for sending this piece over. So this right here is pretty much the billet forks for the coilover, and this right here is the cup for the block's big body coilover, because there are two different sizes. There's a smaller diameter and the fat one. Makes sense because I'm fat. Pulling this out of the box felt like a freaking piston rod, but it's not. It's a billet fork. So I'm gonna go ahead and just carefully open this package and show you guys what this looks like. The reason for this adapter is to allow clearance to the axle, because the axle comes through about right here, and if the stock coilover body is here, it'll interfere with the axle or it'll rub up pretty bad. So this offsets the coilover. It pretty much bolts to the LCA and then it swings up and around to allow the axle to go right through. If you guys can see right here, this is threaded. This pretty much lines up with the coilover body threads, and when you tighten this down, it pretty much just clamps it together to hold it in place. So billet fork attaches to this, coilover body sits on top. You have the space down the bottom for the axle. Let's install this. Guys, we just finished installing the S1 Alpha 6 trailing arm with the Delta 7 rear differential kit and the billet coilover adapters. It looks freaking amazing under there, and I'm so glad I decided to undercoat the wheel well before installing all of these beautiful pieces. Check it out. It looks freaking awesome, and I can't wait to get a set for my KRX. Look at this. My goodness, it's gonna look even better and badder once I peel all of that sticker off, because underneath all of that is a mirror finished plate. Obviously represents the S1 built and their product. Guys, I am so fucking pumped that this, oh shit, did I just swear? Guys, I am so freaking stoked that we finally got the giveaway car all-wheel drive converted about 80% through. The reason why I say 80% is because we didn't have time to do the drive shaft. Again, we're not racing a car. I'm not worried about it. We're definitely going to button up this car once we are done with the show. I'm very tired, but I still have a ton of things to do. We have literally like all of the interior stuff to do, but I think I'm not really worried about this anymore, just to relieve a little stress off myself. We're displaying it. We're not throwing it in the car show. I'm not worried about trophies. I just want to show the car and its progress at Sonoma Raceway Race Wars 2022. And I think the only thing I'm really worried about here is paint the front bumper, the fender tomorrow. I still have not been able to source a windshield. I still need to add coolant, which I'm not worried about because I need the car to turn on first before I do the coolant to make sure everything's good and dandy. Mount the wheels and tire tomorrow as well too. I'm only gonna rock 2 front Koenig wheels with the new tires I have right there. And I'm gonna be propping the back to display the all-wheel drive conversion at the booth, at the S1 booth. I am gonna cut the video right here only because I need to get this car ready to rock and roll. I have less than maybe 12 hours to get this thing done. You guys are probably gonna have to wait until the next video for this one. This thing goes on the dyno tomorrow morning with my tuner, Jeremy. He came from Hawaii out here to the Bay to tune a few cars, but also attend a show for 2 days, just like the S1 booth, just like myself. Yes, I'm gonna be there for 2 days. But before we close out this video, I wanna give a big shout out to Son and Mylin over at S1 Built, the whole S1 crew. Thank you guys for coming on board with the giveaway CRX. Once again, I truly appreciate it. They are helping us build an awesome car to give away to one of you lucky winners. I'm super stoked with the way this car is coming out. Now granted, this car is built how I would have done it, so it's not the prettiest, it's not the craziest, but it's definitely going to be a cool car when it's said and done. If you guys are interested in going all-wheel drive on your car, S1 Built, link is always in the description below. Check out some of the products. They got the baller stuff and even the budget stuff, so find something that fits your need. It's always great to support your locals. Be sure to follow their Instagram as well at S1 Built. But guys, we are going to wrap it up right here. If you guys enjoy the progress update on the giveaway CRX with the all-wheel drive stuff provided by S1, be sure to leave this video a thumbs up. And if you guys want to stick around and see this car almost near complete at the show, be sure to hit the subscribe button. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.